One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Taylor, I want to ask about your all's voices, execution, these firsthand student-athlete accounts of different aspects of their life as a Razorbacks student-athlete in their time in Fayetteville, and kind of the big picture of why you guys are doing it, the strategy behind the move is where I'd like to start. So take us back to maybe last fall when you all talked about why this could be valuable to your all's content approach.
So we first kind of started conversations early on in fall of 2015. We'd probably had the idea for longer than that, but really started to talk about it seriously last fall. And when we started at that time really building out the platform, we had to do some design work. I had that mapped out in my head a long time before, just how we wanted that to look, how we wanted that to feel. Once we actually got that kind of microsite feel executed, we kind of started to begin looking for stories and look at the more philosophical approach to how we wanted to execute them. We kind of saw the opportunity with some of our football players who were going to be deciding whether or not to go to the NFL draft or to come back for their senior seasons. Started having that communications process with Pat Pearson, our director of communications for football. And he originally kind of planted the seed in the ears of those couple guys we wanted to test with, as well as Coach Bielema. Hunter Henry was the first one we really felt was just the perfect candidate to test the waters with. And his was so successful right off the bat that we were really able to leverage that success to persuade our next man up, Alex Collins, that this was a great way for him to announce his decision.
And what has the data shown so far in terms of readership and engagement? What does that look like to date? And then just what are your fans saying about this effort?
Yeah, so our tight end Hunter Henry was the first one to use this platform. And when he announced that he was going to the NFL, it was the most read story in the history of ArkansasRazorbacks.com. So we had no idea it was going to have that kind of impact. And the goal is certainly not to get page views with these stories because that's just not the intent. But when we saw the reach that it could have, and Hunter and our football player was the one who released that story first. It didn't come from us. So that's part of the process too, is allowing them to be the first ones to even tweet out the story. And kind of going back to your first question, we wanted to give them a platform to make their announcement in a professional manner that was more than just a screenshot of a note taken on their iPhone. Regardless of what their decision was, they were going to have the option to do this. So we wanted them to know that right off the bat that, whichever way they were leaning, whichever way they ended up going, they were still going to have this platform. And once we saw how successful the first one was, that gave us some leverage to show some other people, how this could help them look incredibly professional with their announcement and get their professional career off really on a great start branding wise.
Okay, so it starts with an effort of really professionalizing the announcement of turning pro for some football student athletes, but it's certainly expanded beyond that. What were the next steps in terms of identifying what content made sense for this execution beyond the football guys?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part. Now, the football guys were probably, I don't anticipate that being the direction of many of these stories in the future. It could be, but I think what we hope it becomes is more of a platform for our student athletes to voice their opinion on a variety of topics in the world, whether that be related to their time at the University of Arkansas or things that are totally unrelated to sports and are just something that they're incredibly passionate about and want to share their opinion on. But it is very difficult finding those student athletes who feel strongly about something and who are willing to share their opinion publicly. But the idea is that we give them a platform to do that in a longer form than social media can do.
So is there a conversation internally about saturation of too many of these? Is there a point in which you guys would say, okay, we're only releasing X per month according, or maybe it's according to what readership says, a number of page views says for the articles. But what does that look like going forward? And have you all had kind of forward-looking conversations about how to improve upon the execution, or how it finds its niche appropriately within the overall content play for Arkansas?
I think the ideal amount would probably be about one per month, maybe two per month if we really got it rolling. So we started out with the two NFL guys, and we've since released 4 or 5 more, with 4 of those being kind of senior send-off pieces that were kind of all rolled into one campaign. So really, in the past 6 months, we're on about a 1 per month average, even though 4 of those kind of came in a couple week time span. I don't want to pinpoint how many we want, because we just don't really see it as a page view play on our front. We certainly value it in terms of providing our fans with really engaging content. I mean, already we've seen in the stories we've done that the time on the story is over 2.5 times what it would be on a normal story. So we see from that perspective that our fans are enjoying it. But the overall overarching goal is to provide the student athletes with a platform to write if they choose to do so.
And that's today's one question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D.1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.